According to popular demand, let's do another edition of so welcome back. So today, this time around, it is time to read. And who can guess the book we are reading? I know some people are already guessing, but let me just help you out. So the book we are reading is Atomic Habits. Please excited. Atomic Habits was written by James Clear and it was published in the year 2018. The book comprises of you think it's magic. It is not magic. It is information. And don't think the book is too much. Don't worry, we'll finish it now. We'll dissect everything. Let's get to know our author. James Clear is a writer and a speaker who focused on habits, decision making, and continuous improvement. So without further ado, let's continue in our own business for today, which is to read this book within some minutes. I will not say the minutes, so let's just say within some minutes. Now, let's get started with the introduction. In this age and time, we are often told that we need to think big, we need to make drastic changes in order to change our lives for better. But in this book, James Clear proved this notion wrong by explaining how little changes to our daily routine can result into remarkable results. And sometimes we overestimate the power or the importance of doing big things, of taking big action, whereby we underestimate the importance of giving attention to little things in our lives. In this book, James Clear adopts the principle of real change, which is from compound effect, and that one will take us to the first section of this book, which was titled Why Tiny Changes Make a Big Difference. James Clear said, as atoms are building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are building blocks of remarkable results, and they are small or mighty changes that seems insignificant but accumulate at the end to produce a remarkable result. Habits are two-edged swords. They can either work for you or against you, and that's why we must make sure that we take note of the details. He also said that habits are compound interests of self-improvement, and he said in order to create a better habit, in order to create a good habit, we should forget about setting goals, rather focus on the system that can produce the habit. We do not rise to the level of the goal, rather we fall to the level of the system. If you are finding it difficult to change your habits, the problem is not you. The problem is your system of change. The kind of behavior you exhibit determines what you believe about yourself, either consciously or unconsciously, and that one leads to the layers of change. There are 3 layers of change. The first is the identity change, the second is the process change, and the third is the outcome change. And also in this book, James Clear talked about the backbone of every habit, which is divided into 4. The cue is what sends signal to the brain to initiate a behavior. Then this behavior will then trigger a cravings. The cravings will then lead to the response to produce or to satisfy that cravings. Satisfaction of that cravings will then produce a reward, which can either be a positive reward or a negative reward. In this book, James Clear discussed on the 4 rules of behavior change. The first rule is make it obvious. One of the ways we can use to make our habit obvious is increasing our awareness. And one of the strategies is using the pointing and calling action. And also, in making our habit obvious, we must take note of 2 cues, which are the time and location, by using the implementation intention. Intention is a strategy that can increase our awareness about an habit, which is done by pairing a new habit with a specific time and location. For example, if you have the intention of reading a book every day, you can create an implementation intention by creating a template like, okay, I will read a book in my school library for 40 minutes every day. In making our habits obvious, we must take note of our environment. So it is easier to build new habits in a new environment because we are not fighting against old cues. If we want to change any habit, we must also change our environment. James Clear also talked about the inversion of this law in breaking out of bad habits. He said the inversion of this law is make it invincible. If we want to break out of bad habits, we must make the habit invincible by reducing the cues or by reducing exposure to the cues that triggers the habit. Now let's move to the second rule of behavior change, which is make it attractive. James Clear said the more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become habit forming, because habits have a dopamine driven feedback loop. And one of the ways we can use to make our habits attractive is by using a strategy called temptation building. And temptation building is an art of pairing an habit we want to do with the habit we need to do. For example, if you want to listen to your best artist and you need to exercise at the same time, now you can pair these two habits together by exercising while listening to your best artist. Do you get? And that one will make exercising more attractive to you, because anytime you're exercising, you feel excited because you are listening to your best artist. James Clear also said that our culture can determine the kind of habits that are attractive to us, or the kind of people we surround ourselves with will determine the kind of habits that are attractive to us. That is why one of the most effective ways to make our habits attractive is by joining a culture whereby our desired habit is normal and is acceptable. And the inversion of this second law to break out of every bad habit is to make it unattractive. And we can make bad habits unattractive by associating a negative feeling to that habit. That is, when you associate a negative feeling to a bad habit, that habit will become unattractive to you, and then we can break out of that habit. Now let's move to the third law of behavior change, which is make it easy. James Clear said one of the ways we can use to make our habits easy is to make the habits become automatic. And automaticity occurs through repetition. And repetition is not in the duration, but it is in the number of times, that is the frequency. And also repetition also occurs through practice and not through planning. That is why we must take note of getting into action and not being in motion. Making our habit easy can make use of the law of least effort. And this law states that human beings will naturally gravitate towards anything that requires them to use lesser effort. Another rule that we can use is the 2 minutes rule. The 2 minutes rule is that creating a new habit should naturally take us 2 minutes to fulfill. Now, if you have the habit of going to the gym, what you can do within 2 minutes is to take your shoe, tie the shoe, and that taking our shoe and tying the shoe will trigger our response, or we increase our response of going to the gym. Now, the inversion of this third law is make it difficult. Like I said earlier, the law of least effort. So if we make bad habits difficult to fulfill, then we will be able to break out of every bad habit. Now let's move to the fourth rule of behavior change, which is make it satisfying. He said it is likely we repeat a behavior, it is likely we repeat an habit if the experience is rewarding, or if the experience is satisfying. The first, the second, and the third rule of behavior increases the odds that a behavior will be done, while the fourth rule increases the odds that a behavior will be repeated, because what is rewarded is repeated and what is punished is avoided. And one of the strategies we can use to make our habits satisfying is through the use of habit trackers. Habit trackers help us to track our progress, and sense of progress creates a sense of satisfaction within us. And also, when tracking our habits, we should be conscious of not to focus on the numbers, because measurement is only useful when it guides and adds context to the larger picture, and not when it becomes the main goal. One of the ways you can use to break out of bad habits is through the inversion of this law, which is make it unsatisfying. And making our habits unsatisfying will increase the odds that an habit will not be done. Like I said earlier, what is punished is avoided. You can also break out of bad habits by having an accountability partner. You can also make use of habit contract. Habit contract is a written or verbal agreement when and how we want to do an habit, and then look for someone that will help us to sign the document, and then back that contract with either a punishment or reward, which means that if the habit is being performed well, there will be a reward, and if the habit is not being performed, there will be a punishment. Do we get it? Now let's talk about the last section. James Clear said that habits are easy when they align with our natural ability and traits. And if we do not find games that favor our strength, then we can create games for ourselves. And one of the strategies we can use to create habits in alignment with our ability is through the use of Goldilocks rules. The Goldilocks rule states that human beings experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current ability. I want us to know that the threat to success is not failure. The threat to success is boredom. Because when habits becomes automatic, or when we do things repeatedly, we tend to get bored of that thing. That's why we must do things that align with our strength. We must do things that align with our areas of interest, so that even when we are bored, there is one thing within us that is pushing us, or that is motivating us to keep on doing that thing. In creating things that align with our ability and traits, we must note that genes do not determine your destiny, but genes determines your areas of opportunity. Let's move to the conclusion. In conclusion, to every upside there is a downside. The upside of habits is that we do things without thinking about them, and the downside of habits is that we stop paying attention to little errors. That is why we must take time to review and reflect our habits consciously in order to remain conscious of our performance every time. As I come to the end of this video, I want us to know that success is not an endless goal to reach or a finish line to cross, but it is a system to improve on and a process to continually refine. We've come to the end of today's book summary and review. If you stayed to the end of this video, thank you so much. I'm so happy. Now, if you want to capture the full information of this book, you need to read this book. This is just a summary. Get yourself a copy of this book and read it. You can either get the soft copy or the hard copy. So let me know in the comment section what stood out for you in today's video. So thank you so much for staying tuned. And if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can do so by clicking on the subscription button and turn on your notification bell, and also share this video with others so that the video can reach a larger view. Now let me give my review about this book. Atomic Habits is full of a lot of information, and if I want to rate this book, I rate this book 9 over 10. Yes, I'm rating this book 9 over 10. It's worth it. Yes, that is why you need to read this book if you really want to have remarkable results. It's a tiny changes, remarkable results, and these remarkable results are possible through Atomic Habits. So bye guys. So before I go, let us say our slogan: we are Gen Z, we are not Medica.